So I'm going to turn the recording on and formally begin the call. Welcome, everybody. It's, believe it or not, it's Monday, December the 27th, our last practice group. So this will be our 52nd practice group of the year. And it's been a great year. We're going to celebrate and mourn today. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. And I'm really glad that you're here. It's a busy time of the year, and I actually thought that we might be here with just a few people, but boy, we're already here with 39 folks and more people still arriving. So I'm really happy that you're going to come and have an early New Year's Eve party with us. How are you, Jory?
Well, you might have noticed that I hopped away for a moment because I heard my cat, and many of you who have been on this call have heard our cat at other times. She can be quite loud, so I rushed over to shut the door before she came in the room. And I feel a little spacey and tired today. And as usual, glad to have Jim as the backup here so I can be the lazy giraffe.
Thanks, Jory. Today's topic is celebration and mourning for 2021. And we'll guide you through a process where you can connect with friends about whatever is mostly a chance to practice empathy and honesty today. If you're just joining us for the first time, we're kind of in the middle of a series of 28 different classes, and we've done about 10 of them so far. So it's a good time to just kind of pause and measure what you've learned so far, and maybe make some plans about how you want to deepen your practice next year. And so that's what we'll do. We'll also do, in just a second, we'll do a self-connection exercise, which is just a chance to practice nonviolent communication as an inside job, just with yourself. And then the rest of the time, we'll be doing lots of empathy and honesty practice today. We'll talk more about that when it's time to do that. And so, without any further ado, we will just start with a self-connection exercise to set ourselves up for being able to do a deep exploration of celebration and mourning. So this is optional, of course, like everything we do. You can ignore these suggestions. I won't be trying to guide you anywhere other than to your own direct experience. And everything is an invitation. And there's no have to here. I like to do this particular exercise with my eyes closed. Just sort of supports being able to be more with my body. So if you want to close your eyes and feel what it is like to be you, just let your eyes gently close and notice what that feels like. And as you sit with your eyes closed, you may notice that your other senses become more awakened. So just to start with the lesser explored perceptions, just start by noticing that you have a taste in your mouth. Even though you're maybe not actively eating or drinking anything, nevertheless, there's the awareness of taste in your mouth. And then expand that to the sense of smell and notice any odors or aromas in your environment. And of course, in order to notice those aromas and odors, you requires breathing. So then shift your attention to the simple act of breathing. Just breathe with some mindfulness, noticing as the air comes in, and then you let it go again. You may notice that you have thoughts. Being aware of thoughts is an important part for me of nonviolent communication. So just kind of tune in like you're listening to a radio show or a podcast or something like that. Just notice that there's thoughts going on. Almost everybody reports an inner voice. Not everybody. Some people think in other ways. Some of us think with images as well, or instead of words. So just notice that you're a thinking creature. And that you can observe that process. That seems like a weird idea to you and you've never really done it before. You could do something mundane like spell your name inside your head, so to speak, and listen to the sound of your voice. And that often can help people connect to that inner voice. So far we've explored a little bit about the world, a little bit about the mind. Now we'll just take a few minutes to connect with the body. For me, one of the most important aspects of nonviolent communication is to really feel what I feel. And to just notice, first notice any sensations in your body. There may be specific sensations like a little ache or constriction or sense of warmth or coolness. Or there may be just a more widespread feeling of anxiety or excitement or calmness. Whatever you notice, first notice it, then name it for yourself. This is a key part of self-empathy, to notice sensations and name them. It supports presence, supports self-regulation, being able to be more present with yourself, supports empathy. And as you let your consciousness connect to different parts of the body, if you find something painful, just give it a little empathy. And what I mean by that is just acknowledge it with the quality of warmth. So, for example, if you have a little bit of an ache in your head, just name it. Oh, there's the ache in the head. Okay. I guess that's uncomfortable for you, body. Just be present with it with warmth and acknowledgement. And sometimes when these sensations and thoughts get combined, we experience emotions. Some of them are pleasant, like love or peace, calmness. Others are less pleasant, like anger or guilt. But they're all part of being human. So again, notice emotion and name it for yourself and greet it with warmth. And finally, consider what needs brought you here today. You came here for a good reason. What's the good reason that motivated you to do a Zoom call today? Is it about learning, community, connection, empathy, growth, fun, something else. Again, notice the need, name it for yourself, and greet it with empathy. From this place, we nickname this the 0 step. We've just been getting really present, opening ourselves now to the outcome of whatever's going to happen next. If your eyes have been closed, you can let them open. Re-engage with our community that has grown to 51 now. Lots of familiar faces and new faces. We're going to go to small groups for a check-in, an opportunity to check in. This is just to express to people that maybe you've met before, maybe never met. Just introduce yourself, where you're from, and any reactions or responses you had to this self-connection exercise. Chance to practice honesty. Maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't. Whatever your experience is your experience. And you can share it or not. And then when you're listening, listen with that same quality that you just gave to yourself. Listen with warmth and with empathy and with space. Just give your little pod mates the space to express themselves. We'll do it for about 9 or 10 minutes. So everybody will have about 3 minutes to express. Takes us a little while to build the groups at the very beginning. So it might take a couple minutes, but we'll allow about a total of about 10 minutes. At the end of you'll get a little message that says the groups are closing now, but you don't need to do anything. You can just continue to hang out, and when the groups are actually ended, you'll automatically come back here. So you can just relax for the next 12 minutes, and whenever you're ready, Jory, you can open up the groups.
Yes, and if you've entered,
Don't forget. And here comes everybody back.
here we go.
Whee! All right. So welcome back, everybody. Is there anybody that would like to share anything in the large group before we start our lesson and our practice today? Especially love to hear if you've had any breakthroughs that you're celebrating since the last time we practiced together a week ago. But open to hearing anything that anybody would like to share with the large group. Just unmute yourself if you'd like, or you can raise your hand. If you don't know how to raise your hand, you do that on the bottom of your screen. There's a little smiley face with a plus on it that says reactions, and you can raise your hand there.
This is Rebecca. This is Becky in Haiku. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, sweet Jim and Jory. Hey, I finally got my first teaching job at UHMC. I taught nursing aides this last semester, my first time teaching, and it was phenomenal. So all my learning that I've done and how I've developed as a person, I got to live it with these people, and there was such great response.
Excellent. Congratulations. What a wonderful opportunity.
So awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for
It was awesome. Mahalo.
Jennifer.
Yes, I've detected when people are giving me advice that's unwanted, and actually been able to say in giraffe that it wasn't that good for me. So I'm really celebrating.
Wow, that's great. I savor that celebration. I have no advice to give you about it either. That's great. Wonderful. Thank you for celebrating. Vera.
Yeah, Jim, let me have a courage to say something that I don't say a breakthrough, I see a breakdown. A breakdown in the sense that, this this practice of a change in behavior, connecting with bodies, self-empathy, and all that is body is not just accepting it. It just, we listen to a class, we feel good, and then I listen to class, feel good, and wait for the next week to come, but not very much of body is taking a change in the neural pathways and living this practice. So yeah, I'm on, and I want to admit that the practice, though there is an intent to practice, but it's not happening. So yeah, I just want to admit that and courageously say yes. There is a lot of breakdowns than a breakthroughs in practice. Yeah.
Thank you, Vera. I appreciate that. Yeah, maybe a breakdown is just the first step in a breakthrough. I like thinking that way.
Yeah, I felt a little challenge in my group because I have, for better or for worse, I have all these alarms go off internally when this is about enemy images, right? This session.
It was
But I
the
have
original plan, but we changed our mind. But we'll talk more about that. So you can push the button on your alarm but we'll talk more about that in just a second.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I had my thing. Yeah, I wanted to. When I heard enemy images, I was like, I really had to hold myself back from not being assertive and like, no, stop. That's, I don't want to hear that, and I was able to use awareness, but it kind of got my temperature went up, my bodily temperature went up. So I'm holding back, and it is like an alarm that goes off when I hear what I think are enemy images. So
That's
that's
so
all.
important to notice. It is like an alarm. It can wake us up to the presence of an enemy image. Thank you. Yeah. So the original plan was to do dissolving enemy images today, but we're going to put that on the shelf until next week because we realized it was the last week of the year, and we're also at this natural kind of transition place as we explore the skills on the matrix, where we've kind of done the basics now, and for the rest of the matrix, it's like applying these basic skills that we've been covering for the last 10 or 11 weeks. So we thought we would take this as an opportunity to measure, to give you the chance to be honest with yourself and share what's going on for you with some pod mates, and in order to deepen your experience of both celebration and mourning. I'm going to share my screen with you, and there we go. So celebration and mourning, I first learned this kind of phraseology at my very first international intensive training with Marshall. And we would end every day with this practice of celebration and mourning. And the idea is it's just a chance to celebrate needs of yours that have been satisfied and to mourn needs that are yet to be satisfied in a fulfilling way. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So the focus is always on needs, although our behaviors or the behaviors of others might be a stimulus. We're allowing our attention to be drawn to and focused on the universal human needs, because that is the reliable route that we've discovered to make life more wonderful, as Marshall would say. So this class is really called Haole Makahiki Ho, which is how the Hawaiian indigenous people say Happy New Year. Makahiki is the time of the year when the Pleiades, the constellation the Pleiades, is visible in the Hawaiian nighttime sky. The Seven Sisters is the other name, the star constellation of seven stars. And during the Makahiki here in Hawaii, traditionally, the Hawaiians would pause. It would take 4 months from sometime in the middle of November for about 4 months, and take it as a time of harvesting, reflection, community building, celebration, rest, all the things that we tend to associate with the end of the year in other cultures as well. And remarkably also, at least to my understanding, which is limited, of course, during the Makahiki, the Hawaiians had a natural truce. They would let go of all their battles that they might have been fighting for who controlled what and so forth back in the older times before Kamehameha united the islands. So the Makahiki is really a deep time of self-reflection. So that's what we're going to do today, is celebrate and mourn. And we're going to do it in small groups mostly. I've got 4 questions that are inspired by the 4 components of nonviolent communication: observation, feeling, need, and request, and that were kind of brought into this general form by another trainer named Dominic Barter, who does his work in Brazil. And so thanks to both Marshall and Dominic for stimulating our discussion today. And Jory, if you would set the timer for 15 minutes for each of these, that'll be each of the sessions will be about 15 minutes with about 2 minutes at the end. You don't have to push a button or anything when you get the time. It's just a warning that you've got 2 minutes to finish up. And we invite you guys to help each other to make sure that everybody has a chance to express on all 4 of these questions. We're also going to take 2 minutes to write before we actually go to the small groups, just so that you have a chance to get clear on what you might want to say. I see 2 hands up, so I think we already did Rob. Go ahead, Margaret.
I just wanted to let you know, Jim, that we weren't seeing anything on your shared screen. It just a double click to edit. That's all I seen anyhow. The whole time you were speaking.
Okay, I will check. There's the right one. I was clicking the wrong one. There you go. So that's what it should have looked like. Thanks, Margaret.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, because we're going to use these. These have the thanks so much for raising your hand and helping me to be aware of that. So let's go to the first question. And what we're going to do is, after I put the question up, I'll read it to you, and then we'll have 2 minutes of silence while you can write or think. And then after 2 minutes, I'll let Jory know, and she can open up the groups. She's readjusting the groups so that there's 3, probably 3 in most groups. Might be 1 group of 4. So the frame is your nonviolent communication practice. That's the frame we're suggesting. But if you would like to consider needs met around some other part of your life, that's also fine. But what we're going to frame the questions around your nonviolent communication practice, since that's what we're about here. So the first question is, what are you celebrating about your nonviolent communication practice in 2021? And this is a chance for you to practice making some observations. So you might think about the impact, the positive impact that your nonviolent communication practice is having on your relationship with yourself, your relationship with family members, colleagues, and so forth. So I'm going to start the timer now for 2 minutes, and then I'll let Jory know when to put you in small groups. Okay, so let's go ahead and open the groups. You'll have about 5 minutes each or so to express what's alive in you. When it's your chance to express, you're getting the opportunity to practice vulnerability and honesty, and be only as honest as you're willing to be. Nothing will be recorded in the small groups, so it's a chance for you to just express in the presence of safety and empathy. If you're listening, just listen with an open heart. No advice, no cheering up, none of that kind of stuff. Just listening with an open heart and being responsive to any of the requests of the speaker if they have any. We'll do this for 15 minutes plus 2 to celebrate and enjoy. Whenever you're ready, Jory. All right. Everybody looks pretty happy after celebrating. I'd love to hear 1 or 2 voices of what it's like to actually be held with empathy as you celebrate. Anybody have anything you'd like to share about that? Just raise your hand. Probably with this many people, it needs to be your electronic hand because I can't see everybody anymore. Especially what do you notice in your body or in your heart when you celebrate like this? Go ahead, Juliana.
Yeah. So I'm just celebrating at the moment that in my group, I discovered what this, letting the feeling go through you, what it meant to me and what it meant for me. I got so much clarity on this. And for me, what came up was that I accepted. I accepted, number 1. And number 2 is I connect the feeling to the pain in that time that I'm sitting with it. I connect the feeling to the pain, not to the pain, to the need. I'm sorry. And when I connect the feeling to the need, then I get to the core of my pain and I sit with that. And as I sit with that, clarity comes. So, it kind of goes past. I give it that time. So from that was connecting the feeling to the need. That is the meaning of sitting with the feeling. And in the process, accepting it and, finding more clarity.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Roxanne.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad you shared it, Juliana. Sarah Joy?
Well, I'm so grateful for this opportunity, Jim and Jory, and thankful to my 2 buddies in my breakout group. We were all from 3 different countries, and it just felt this was a global experience of resonating, giving, sharing empathy, and learning and growing and learning, softening, and really hearing and being aware and present with each other. And I just, and, for me, it was so heart opening and relaxing and, even joyful tearing up at times, really feeling appreciated, feeling heard, and amazed, to be here with people across the world, and enjoying that together. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for sharing that. And just reading what Minako put into the chat for the recording, I was able to touch the patriarchy in my own history. There was only deep, deep love. Kindness and compassion are the greatest gifts of 2021. Yeah, sweet. Thanks, Minako. So let's go on to the second question.
And I want to make sure if anybody has any requests about the great breakout group, go ahead and the great breakout groups, please do send a message directly to me. I'll be opening them up again shortly.
So the second question is to consider challenges or puzzles. And so what seems to be getting in the way of your nonviolent communication practice? And you might find that the way in to this sort of a question is through feelings. So even asking yourself the question, what seems to get in the way of your nonviolent communication practice, you might notice a sense of constriction or tightness or irritation or shame or guilt, or let that be like Rob was saying earlier. It's like a little bit of an alarm clock. It clues us in about something. So notice those feelings when you consider the challenges and puzzles of your communication patterns and styles and so forth, and then follow those feelings into some expression about. And this is the mourning part, where you might just say. So, for example, one way that I mourn in 2021 is, in spite of more than 20 years now of practice of nonviolent communication, I still notice that I get snippy. That's my judgment. I get snippy sometimes and short, and I don't create. I respond more quickly than I would like, and when I do that, I have a sense of oh, it almost never goes well. So there's like an irritation with myself, a sense of frustration and sadness that I still fall into these patterns even after many years of practice. And then as I say it, I say, well, of course. I mean, I'm a human being, and nobody can do NVC or anything else perfectly all the time. So it awakens a sense of compassion that I'm probably not the only one. Um, and it starts bringing up memories of being with Marshall and other trainers who also have the same kind of challenges and puzzles that I have. So there's a sense of camaraderie that also comes up for me. So before we go to the small groups, we'll take 2 minutes for you to just do a little writing and thinking about the challenges and puzzles that you're confronting in your nonviolent communication practice. So one tip before you go back to small groups is if after you finish sharing, feel free to make a request of somebody else in your group. And the request might sound like, can anybody catch what you hear is important to me? Or would someone be willing to reflect my feelings? Something like that, or whatever request is alive. So it doesn't have to be a one-way thing. You can feel free, if you're the speaker, to make a request. Otherwise, listeners, just listen again with empathy. Listen with an open heart. Again, we'll do this for 15 minutes, plus 2 minutes at the end to finish up. And so everybody again will have about 5 minutes to mourn. And there might be lots of space here too. You might just say one thing and there's some silence. And then maybe something else comes up for you. So it's okay if there's silence and space as well. You don't have to try to feel obligated to fill it up with words. So Jory, whenever you're ready.
All righty. And
Yeah. Poof. Okay. So this is a good time just to touch in with your body. Just notice how you feel after having that experience. That was a deep practice of nonviolent communication. No matter what you did, you were practicing being present with one another. So I'm a little worried about time, so I'm going to go to the next question here. So the first part of NVC, the first three questions that Marshall invited us to consider are, what's happening? That's the observation. How do you feel about it? And that's the feelings. What's important to you? That's the need. And so it's all a lot about NVC is about the present, but there's also a really important part of NVC, which is about from now on. So what's your vision for your nonviolent communication practice in 2022? What's the best thing that could happen in the coming year? Another way of looking at the question is, what needs would you like to feed in 2022 that would support your NVC practice? So again, I'll be quiet for 2 minutes while you do some writing about it, and then we'll put you back into the small groups. It'll be a little bit shorter this time. So some wise guy once said that energy flows where thought goes. So that's the important part about getting in touch with a vision, is that somehow it orients us towards action from now on. So as you share in your small group, again, bring this quality of space, presence, and focus to others as you listen to them, and give yourself that same presence, space, and focus as you speak. So each of these questions is an opportunity to explore your own relationship to nonviolent communication in a new way. The other way of looking at this particular question, Jory and I nickname it dreaming in giraffe, giraffe being the symbol for nonviolent communication. So what's your dream? What's your giraffe dream? And we're going to shorten it up just so we have time to do the final question. So Jory, make sure it's about 10 minutes this time, plus 2. And we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Okay. Check out your body again after connecting with your vision and the vision of other people. And just notice what that's like to enjoy the similarities and the distinctions. And then just continuing on so we have time to do this last question. So now we move into the specific part of the from now on. So if things remain a wish, they're less likely to come to fruition. So if I say to one of you, I hope someday you come and we can have lunch together on Maui. Well, that's a wish. It might happen and it might not. It's a beautiful vision to have you come and visit me. But one of the people on this call today, Leanne and John, they're going to come and visit us. And Leanne wrote to me and made a clear and specific request about how we might get together during their brief visit to Maui next month. Now that's way more likely to happen because we took the time together to get clear on what the specific steps were. What's the request that each of us have as we move into next year and contemplate the possibilities of getting together. So that's the final question for us to consider today. What specific steps do you intend to take to support your practice of nonviolent communication in 2022? So just think about it for 1 minute, and then we'll put you back into the small groups for a little bit shorter time again.
Hi.
Hey, Vita. Everyone will be back in about 10 seconds.
Is it about to be closed?
Yeah, the groups are closing any second. Here they go. They're closed. Welcome back. Well, Joy and I got to be really lazy today and just enjoy knowing that you guys were off connecting with each other, teaching each other, living Marshall's dream of mutual education, which is really sweet for me. I'm sure you learned more today than in all the other times that we met together all year just by being together and supporting each other in your love of nonviolent communication and peace. So I end this year with a lot of gratitude in my heart for these weekly meetings with you and want to give you the opportunity to gift back if you would like. First, I'll tell you that if when I get when I finish all the editing, all the recordings end up at this place here, pathwaystoliberation.com resources. There's already about 40 recordings now on that website, more to come. So all 28 recordings from our book launch in October And then about 10 or 11 practice groups are up there as well from this year. So love for you to enjoy them in any way that you would like. And then my biggest celebration of the year, one of them, was finishing that book. And if you haven't bought a copy yet, please do. And if you bought one, then how about you buy another one and give it to somebody else that would really enjoy having it. And it's a fundraiser for the Center for Nonviolent Communication, as is these two ways that you can also contribute. So you can give directly to the Center for Nonviolent Communication. If you don't want to do that, then you can send us some money and we'll pay it forward to to some sort of an NVC project somewhere. Because of your generosity, we have managed to raise about $8,000 this year for NVC projects. And so many of you have also signed up to give little monthly donations of between $15 and $50 a month, which is really cool. And then we just get to pay it forward. So thank you all for all that participation this year. And I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to hang out and share with you. Jory, anything you'd like to say by way of farewell? No? Yeah, Jory's feeling a little under the weather at the moment, tired. So we will keep this line open for you to continue your discussions. And we will be back next week, and we will cover dissolving enemy images. So we'll take all the training that you've had up till now and really start applying it with the nitty-gritty of how to work with NVC in the real world. We'll start with a remarkable process that Marshall Rosenberg created called dissolving enemy images. And so with that, I think we're done for today. And we'll unmute everybody. Please unmute yourself and say a beautiful Old Lang Syne for us all. Aloha, everybody. Haole makahiki ho.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Holiday New Year. Health.
Happy
Navata.
New Year.
Yeah.